Welcome again to another Curator's Chat. I'm Jason French, curator at the Behringer-Crawford Museum. Today I'm here with Mark Schlachter, and we're here in his Familiar Faces exhibit that we're hosting here at Behringer-Crawford Museum. Each of these wonderful photographs here along the walls have backstories, and they're part of a book that you've written called Familiar Faces, and it's about a community in Indiana, correct?
Allegedly.
Allegedly a community in Indiana. I love the imagery and I love the stories that are on the wall of this alleged community. I think there's a lot of backstories to the stories that we see here. What made you want to write this story?
When we were on vacation, we had 4 kids and my wife and me all crammed in our Dodge Caravan, hit the road, and everyone promptly fell asleep. Being a railroad buff and spending time at the Railway Museum and serving on their board, somehow I hit this thing of Ersatz and Moot Point Railway. It sounded legitimate, but Ersatz is German for imitation or a substitute, and Moot Point is of no importance, so it was fun. Made an inter-office memo from made-up person at the Ersatz and Moot Point Railway to some employee of the Ersatz and Moot Point. Sent it within minutes, I got a reply. Also as an inter-office memo from somebody working for the Ersatz and Moot Point Railway. Again, nothing really happened for a couple of months, except we were now on a trip to Knoxville, Tennessee, and it was 2 or 3 of my kids and me. We did have another couple with us, though, and they appear in this photo series eventually as the conscience of the community, woman who's an activist. No matter what's going on, there's probably a problem with it, and she'll find it and point it out and try to correct it. And Father Myron, the odd priest. We were having dinner, and while waiting for our food, one of the two said, "We should make up some towns for this railroad you've got." So we sat there making names of towns, including Outfall, Indiana, Splunge, Mississippi, on and on and on. Again, nothing happened. And one morning, there were some more inter-office memos and got my kids involved, and we were having some fun with it. I think I actually had some t-shirts printed by that point with Ersatz and Moot Point Railway, virtual fantasy run amok. Rosemary said one morning, "You're the photographer, make it real." So I started creating characters and situations, and over the next literally 25 years, it eventually turned into the book. I can go there. I visit frequently. In the case of the Smiley brothers, 3 guys, 2 of them followed in the family tradition of being undertakers. The third went to med school, became an OB/GYN, and the corporate motto now is, "We brought you in, we'll take you out." That one's historically significant. It's in the Crosley Mansion out on Kipling Road. And the 3 gentlemen involved, one, the alleged OB/GYN, was on the final air staff of WNOP Jazz Radio. Another one was a vice president with United Way. And the third was a butcher from Findlay Market.
Oh, that's great.
So, did not know each other till they met and became brothers.
There's also places that you look at the photographs and you go, well, that looks familiar. Where exactly? I should know where that's at. And you've got a photo with a veteran, correct?
And it's amazing how few people actually figure out where that is. It's within 3 miles of the Behringer-Crawford Museum on Route 8 in Ludlow, Kentucky. The underpass, Veterans Memorial Underpass. So I hauled my uncle out there one Saturday afternoon, put him in a ladder-back chair with a bunch of American flags taped to it, and this story is as odd as all the rest.
Now, the dames are kind of colonial dames, or
Yeah, the pose is a total knockoff of a Grant Wood painting that happens to be owned by the Cincinnati Art Museum. I found three mature friends. One was one of my former graduate school profs at IU. We shot it in her dining room and got two more friends, also from IU faculty and staff. They did their own costuming. One showed up with this wonderful bonnet, which then became part of the copy that went with it. And the Grant Woods ladies are very demure and holding a teacup very politely. Mine have a beer stein.
ah, there is a image of a musician with a very interesting instrument that he has created.
Aha.
How did you come up with that?
Well, I met the model at a bed and breakfast in Nashville, Indiana, actually Knob Elm, just outside, and wanted to use him for something. And it is an Indiana story. Indiana did create perhaps the majority of musical instruments, at least brass instruments, made in America for many years. The Kahn Company and Elkhart. And somehow yeah, they aren't here anymore. What happened to what was in the plant when they shut down? How can we make this sort of interesting guy important to a story? Somehow it came together that it's going to be Buster Outfall Fletcher, the local plumber. He's traveling back to Ersatz County, having been to a plumbing convention, gets a sandwich in Elkhart, sees a window full of pieces of musical instruments at fire sale prices, fills his truck, and then tries to figure out what to do with them. That's what the instrument is.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
and it does have a sprinkler, as in fire protection.
Oh, of course. What about the young man that kind of grew up on the railroad?
He didn't grow up, he was born on the railroad.
I was born on the
The
railroad.
story is it's World War II. Able bodied males have been shipped off to foreign parts. The railroad needed somebody to keep the freight moving. So they ended up hiring a young woman to be a conductor, which is a most responsible position. Train doesn't move till the conductor says it moves. Well, she liked her job. Unfortunately, or fortunately, before departing for France or wherever, her husband, Casey, had left her, and she delivered her child in the caboose, which was her office on the rails. It seemed to make an impression, and he has spent most of the rest of his life hopping freights, traveling, and sending postcards back from all over to let people know where he's been. Stays in touch, comes back to home 2-3 times a year, always with stories.
Where did you take that picture?
That's from the Railway Museum in Latonia. Actually, the photo on the cover of the book was also there in one of the members' personal cabooses. Caboose?
Ah,
Railroad people seldom call it a caboose. They tend to call it a crummy or a cabin. Let's just call it the crummy. That is the crummy kit.
there is a shot of the Moot Point Depot. Where was that?
That is my Hitchcock moment. It's a very well-known railroad station in New Hope, Pennsylvania, Bucks County. There's a historic short line there with a steam engine that'll take you on a tourist trip, but it's well known. I love the building, but I didn't want it to be that obvious to people who might know it. So, although there is no Photoshop anywhere in this series of photographs, there is one vaguely trick photograph, and this is it. I prepared a new sign to hang over the real sign, but I had it made in reverse. Took a picture of myself with the camera on the tripod, and me reading the newspaper and holding a little radio tripper device to actually take the picture. Fired off about 10 frames, and then when it came time to make the print, put the negative in the enlarger upside down, which meant that the sign suddenly read correctly. Now you might think you've seen that railway station before, but there's something that's not quite right. Like the turret is on the wrong side of the building. That's the trick.
I hope you all come and see all of these wonderful pieces here at the Behringer-Crawford Museum. They'll be up through November 17th. We'll see you in our next Curator's Chat.